Hey there, I'm Ryan, and I'm making Colorful Katana, a colorfully gory action samurai game inspired by Samurai Champloo and Sekiro, which you should be wishlisting right now. I've worked hard to make the combat fun and rewarding to play, but right now gameplay outside of combat is essentially non-existent. It doesn't feel like a full-on game just yet, more so like a combat demo with a handful of enemies, areas, and a boss. As I identified and began pondering that issue, I also thought about the small open world I'd like to implement into my game, and how to fill said world with interesting landmarks and things to do. I want the world to feel alive, not just a stagnant play area with some combat scenarios littered around. Instead, I want to breathe some life into the world, and I think the best way to do this is through NPCs to meet and towns to explore. This can include anything from characters that give quests, sell items, provide lore, or simply comment on the current state of affairs. That will come in due time, but right now I want to get the NPC and dialogue system up and running, and maybe work a little on quests as well. In regards to towns, this is going to be a little bit trickier. In case you're new to the project, Colorful Katana's setting is one set in feudal Japan, but with a few modern twists. Guns, graffiti, hip-hop, skateboards, and more exist and are prevalent throughout the world. The tricky part comes with trying to balance these two aesthetics in a town setting, morphing feudal Japan with modern urban characteristics. This will be an iterative process certainly. So, my goals this video are creating a large Japanese village with those attributes sprinkled in, as well as a lot of NPCs that simulate the hustle and bustle of a cityscape. With that being said, let me create all that and then time travel into the future so we can talk about it. Welcome to the first town in Wait, no, that's not it. Hold on. Welcome to the first town in Colorful Katana, name currently pending. If you have any cool town names that fit the game's aesthetic, drop it down in the comments. So yeah, let me give you a tour real quick. This village is one of the major cities in the game, so it's equipped with a gigantic stone wall surrounding the premises. The small open world will also have a handful of normal-sized villages that won't have nearly the same scale. I've done a little bit of set dressing outside of the city's entrance, but I do plan to add more in the future. I really like the idea of the entrance of the city being just as busy as the insides, like a village of ants swarming in and out of the entrance of a colony. Once the player walks past the city walls, they are greeted with the hustle and bustle of the people inside. I mixed and matched a handful of art and NPC animation assets in order to simulate a busy cityscape. Nothing complicated is happening here, just some very basic NPC AI, but I do think there is enough to sell that busy sort of feeling. The town is primarily inspired by feudal Japanese architecture, but with a few modern Easter eggs sprinkled here and there. You'll find skateboards lying vacantly on sides of buildings. Graffiti is written intermittently on buildings, really driving home the urban vibe I'm going for in Colorful Katana. NPCs have simple actions, many are talking to each other, idling about, or just looking downtrodden and drunk. The main street is the busiest part of town, with houses surrounding the player on both sides. This path eventually leads to the town's main attraction, which I'll get to in a moment. Little bit of foreshadowing there. But anyways, going back to the entrance of the town, there are a few branching paths the player can take that lead to different sections of the settlement. If the player goes left, they'll be greeted by more NPCs until they eventually reach a small entranceway, leading them to the shop district of town. This isn't fully finished just yet, and I don't have any shop functionality at the moment, so let's just pretend that the player will be able to buy general items here to help them along their journey. Heading north, you'll run into some more modern set dressing, a game of cornhole between a little girl and an older gentleman. I think it'd be pretty cool to eventually add a minigame that the player can participate in, but I just don't have the time required for that at the moment. Something to think about in the future. Anyways, the shop district merges into the main path and also leads to the rightmost path, which is a section of the town that belongs to the Graffiti Gang, a rebel gang dedicated to fighting the current governmental power. Not to drop too much lore on you, but you also have beef with the people in powers, so it's really only logical that a team up would be in order. This is all very early, but I did get around to implementing some NPC dialogue for the Graffiti Gang member. It's all a work in progress, but what I want from this conversation is for this gang member to gift the player a graffiti can, tasking you to take down enemy camps and spray paint all over their insignias. In case you're new here, I have a whole nother video explaining the graffiti mechanic of the game. So now, our NPC guy right here gives the player an actual reason to engage in that mechanic. I'm planning to have him provide perks and rewards to the player in return. In line with this, I have the beginnings of a quest system set up, but I'll dive deeper into that once there's a little more there to talk about. Moving on to the upper part of the city, most of the stuff here is merely set dressing. I don't totally know what I want this section to be yet. I like the idea of a bamboo sanctuary with monks chilling everywhere, but I do need some ideas for something the player can actually do here. Some sort of training or minigame maybe, I don't know. I'll think of something eventually. But I do really like the look and feel of the bamboo, and it inspires some ideas for a future biome as well. That will be a whole nother video sometime down the road. But moving on, our city here has a point of interest which I mentioned earlier. My initial thought was to have a hangout place for the town leader to be and give out quests to the player, to simply give the player another reason to visit and frequent the town. I also wanted this hangout spot to fit the vibes of the game as a whole. Shout out to Solideo, a fellow samurai game dev YouTuber who inspired this idea. I saw his video on his game's jazz bar, and I knew I had to have a similar location in my game. The name of the bar is a placeholder for now, since I don't want to get sued by popular 80s sitcom Cheers, so Entering our Cheers bar, you'll notice the vibes tonally are a major shift from the bright, bustling city. I haven't been to too many jazz bars in my day, but what I do know is they tend to be quite dark and atmospheric. I think the lighting I cooked up definitely achieves that. Typically there would be, jazz at the jazz bar, but this is still all a work in progress, so cut me some slack. But yeah, our jazz bar comes equipped with a bar, bartender, tables and chairs, and a handful of NPCs enjoying the silent show. I intend for this guy right here to be the village leader, and to be the catalyst for a larger plot point in the main game. You'll just have to wait and see on that one. Overall, I'm really happy with what I've achieved with this first city, and I'm doubly excited to work on it even further, along with smaller towns and villages sprinkled all over the open world. As I mentioned throughout the video, I have a lot of work to do on NPC dialogues and behaviors, and I think I have some interesting ideas for NPC and quest encounters as well. Per usual, I'd also love to hear all your ideas for fun NPCs and quests. Overall, I'm glad I took some time away from combat to really work on the more chill side of the game. I can tell you right now, it's starting to feel like more of a coherent experience instead of just a tech demo. Looking down the road, I want to start the trek of adding content to the game and getting a demo started. I have little to no projection to when I would want to release this demo outside of sometime next year, hopefully. Obviously, I'll keep you all updated as I go. Devlogs might be a little few and farther in between in the meantime. The content in this video took a lot of time and I don't foresee it being replicable in the long term. But I'll try and get a video out nonetheless, maybe about my game dev journey and history as a whole. It should be interesting, I think. With all that being said, wishlisting Colorful Katana is always a big help, as well as liking and subscribing and all the rest of the YouTube stuff. I genuinely appreciate all of you for watching and supporting me along this journey. See ya!